it is true that these individuals that he mentioned have given statements to this podcast, these people doing the podcast. However, I would show that there is more proof than just these people's statements that that Curtis Flowers is guilty of this of the murders that he's been charged with. He was seen at Doyle Simpson's car on the morning of the murders. Doyle Simpson's gun was taken from that car, and a bullet that was pulled from the crime scene matched to that gun. There were gunshot residue elements found on Mr. Flowers' hands. There was a shoe print found that was matched to a Fila Grant Hill shoe. An empty shoebox was found in Mr. Flowers' residence that matched the size of the state's expert as 10.5. Those shoes were not found. Apparently, I believe the statement was they were thrown out, which these were very expensive tennis shoes. I can't envision anybody just throwing them out because they didn't fit. There was money found in the headboard of his bed. I think most telling as far as these other, the defense wants to call them suspects, Willie James Hemphill and Doyle Simpson, was those two individuals had no motive to commit murder. The state has put on evidence at the prior trials, which Your Honor has sat through. You've heard the evidence coming from that witness stand on at least 2 of the prior trials. Mr. Flowers had recently been let go from his employment at Tardy Furniture. He had had his final check docked because of some broken car batteries that happened a couple weeks before. And then he just quit coming to work. And then when he inquired, he was told that, you don't have a job anymore. It's not just these 3 individuals, Judge. You've heard the evidence. There's other people that saw him at Tardy Furniture that morning. Porky Collins' testimony was that he saw him in front of the store on that morning as he drove by in his car arguing with another individual. Now, as for this Presley and Gamble, these 2 individuals that were tried over in Alabama for, I guess it is capital murder, that was in Birmingham. And I've seen no evidence that either of those individuals ever set foot in Winona. Just because one of them may have been in Mississippi doesn't mean they were in Winona. Mississippi's a big state. And you heard the testimony in the prior trials that from John Johnson and I believe others that Mr. Flowers was the only suspect. And Your Honor.
Well, I've heard that, but yet after the fact, now I'm hearing that somebody else was picked up and held for a number of days that was in fact a suspect. So how does the state reconcile that?
Your Honor, all I can say is that he gave an alibi. Now, I don't know what was done on it, but there's no other evidence to point that he had anything to do with it other than maybe he had a pair of shoes and maybe someone saw him around the store that day, which
well, that's about the same type of evidence the state has against Mr. Flowers, isn't it? I mean,
well, no, Your Honor. We have Mr. Flowers being seen near the car where the gun was stolen that we know was used right around the time or just before the murders happened. We have Doyle Simpson saying his gun was stolen. We have gunshot residue on Mr. Flowers' hands. And then, as I was mentioning, the empty shoebox and the money and the missing check from Tardy Furniture that was in Curtis Flowers' name that was missing after this horrible murder.